video, we will talk about two basic but important problems or methods calculating different sampling observations in statistics. They are permutation and combination. So both permutation and combination calculations are used to count the number of points in the sample without having to list all the different cases in the sample. So they are using the rules which can be used to calculate how many different samples in the problem. For the permutation is an arrangement of all or part of a set of objects. The simple permutation is considering the three letters A, B, and C. For example, the possible permutations are ABC, ACB, BAC, and so on. So there are 6 different ways of arrange these 3 alphabets. Because there are N1 equals 3 choice for the first position. So no matter which letter is chosen, there are always N2 equals 2 choice for the second position. And so on. So no matter which 2 letters are chosen for the first 2 positions, there is only 1 choice for the last position. So there are in total 3 times 2 times 1 different ways of permutation from multiplication rules for showing how many different ways of arrange these 3 alphabets. So the total number of permutations of n objects is n factorial. So now consider the number of permutations that are possible by taking 2 letters at a time from 4. So this would be AB, AC, AD, BA, and so on. So we have 2 positions to fill with N1 equals 4 choice from these 4 alphabets for the first position. And then N2 equals 3 choice for the second because 1 alphabet has been chosen. So there are 3 choice left for the second position. So there are total of N1 times N2 equals 12 permutations. So in general, n distinct objects taken R at a time can be arranged in n times n minus 1 times n minus 2 until n minus R plus 1 ways. So we can represent this product by the symbol NPR, which means permutation of n objects which select R from these n objects. So their total n factorial divided by n minus R factorial ways. We take a look at an example of permutation. So the problem is in 1 year, 3 awards, research, teaching, and service will be given to a class of 25 graduate students in a statistics department. If each student can receive at most 1 award, how many possible selections are there? So the solution is, since the awards are distinguishable, it is a permutation problem. So the total number of sample points is permutation 25 select 3 because we want to select 3 students from these 25 students, right? And each of these 3 will receive these different 3 awards. So their total 25 factorial divided by 25 minus 3 factorial equals about 3,800 different ways. So you can see there are lots of different ways because the first students can be selected from 25 graduate students. So there are different ways, 25 different ways right? Then the second is 24 different ways because one student has been chosen. And the third awards were selected from the left 23 students. So they are totally 25 times 24 times 23 different ways. So now we talk about permutation. And so far we have considered the permutations of different objects. There is all the objects were completely different or distinguishable. Right? Because in the last example, different awards are different, right? And obviously, if the letters B and C are both equal to X, in the first example, then the 6 permutations of the letters A, B, C becomes AXX, AXX, XAX, and so on. So there are only 3 different ways. Therefore, with 3 letters, 2 being the same, so we have 3 factorial divided by 2 factorial equals 3 distinct permutations. And with a sample of 4 different letters, we have 24 distinct permutations problem. But if we let A equals B equals X and C equals D equals Y, so we can list only the following different permutations like X, X, Y, Y, X, Y, X, Y, and so on. So there are only 6 distinct permutations now. So the number of distinct permutations of n things, of which n1 are of the same kind and n2 of a second kind, and so on, nk of a kth kind can be calculated as n factorial divided by n1 factorial times n2 factorial until nk factorial. So this in the numerator is the permutation we have learned, right? But the denominator divided by this multiplication of n1 factorial to nk factorial, this represents the grouping because n1 objects are the same, n2 are the same of another kind, and nk also a new kind group with the same object. So because this group objects are the same, so we have to divide that or cut this because we have calculated too much from n factorial. So we have to divide it by this multiplication. So the result will be much smaller than n factorial, right? So next we talk about combination. In many problems, we are interested in the number of ways of selecting R objects from N without regard to order. This is different from the permutation, though these selections are called combinations. Now, combination is actually a partition with 2 cells. The one cell containing the R objects selected and the other cell containing the N minus R objects that are left. The simplest combination is actually a permutation in which a group of R are the same elements and N minus R are the other group with the same elements. So if we have remembered the previous page from the PowerPoint, you can see this actually is the permutation divided by R with the first group with R same objects, and the second group is N minus R, the same objects, right? So combination, the simplest combination with 2 groups can be calculated as a permutation divided by the group factorial. So the number of combinations of N distinct objects taking R at a time. So combination problem is N distinct objects taking R at a time. So we select R objects and distinct same objects R from N total objects. So this problem is called combination. And the formula is n factorial divided by r factorial times n minus r factorial. Because you select r factorial but left n minus r also can be different ways, must have factorial. But we only interested in the group, not interested in the individual, right? So this is the combination problem. We look at an example of combination. So how many different letter arrangements can be made from the letters in the word statistics? So in this problem, we does not consider the order of arrangement of these alphabets. So this is a typical problem of a combination because in these 10 alphabets, they are grouping, like 2 S alphabets, right? And 2 T, 3 T, and 2 I alphabets. So this problem actually is a permutation in the numerator divided by the grouping factors factorial. So you can see the numerator is 10 factorial because there are total 10 alphabets. And we have to divide it by 3 factorial times 3 factorial and 2 factorial and 1 factorial and 1 factorial. So a total about 50,400 different ways of arranging these 10 alphabets, right? So when should we take a problem as a permutation or combination? So the answer is it depends on the problem or question itself. For example, a young boy asks his mother to get 5 Game Boy TM cartridges from his collection of 10 arcades and 5 sports games. How many different ways are there such his mother can get 3 arcade and 2 sports games? So as here we do not consider the order among selected 3 arcades and the order between those selected sports games. So we do not care about these two, the order among these 2 sports games and order among these 3 arcade. So actually 3 arcade select from 5, right? From 10, then 2 sports games selected from 5. So this is a combination problem. And if we care about the order, they're different. These 3 actually different, or these 2 different. So there is a pure permutation problem. So the number of ways of selecting 3 cartridges from 10 is a combination problem, right? 10 factorial divided by 3 factorial times 10 minus 3 factorial. And the number of ways of selecting 2 cartridges from 5 is also combination problem, equals 5 factorial divided by 2 factorial divided by 5 minus 2 equals 3 factorial. So there are 10 different ways for this combination and 120 for this combination. So there are total 1,200 ways from multiplication of these 2 different ways in total.